Hi, everyone. My name is Molly Sanford, and I'm a family and consumer science teacher at Whitehall High School. This is going to be my seventh year teaching, and I'm going to be teaching the Orientation to Teaching program, which has now been renamed as Foundations of Education, I believe. And this is going to be my fourth year to teach that class. So today I'm just going to go over a few things before you get started in that program and just some things I like to do, favorite projects and activities that my students loved. First, let's talk about before you begin teaching the class about the minimum equipment and things you're going to need. That's all going to be on the minimum equipment list. And if you don't have those things, you need to look into writing a startup grant. I wrote a startup grant when I taught in Dumas and I got $14,000 to help me purchase all the Ellison die cutters, some student computers, student printers, things like that. And it was a process, but if you talk with your co-op person, whoever your CTE co-op coordinator is, they are a good tool and resource to help you with that. Allison Kelly was mine at the Monticello Co-op at the time, and I would send her my startup grant and she'd kick it back to me saying, you need to fix this or you need to add more here. So that way when she submits it to the State Department, they don't pass yours over and choose someone else, because there's only so many funds and they're going to give those to the best people whose grants look the best. I have mine still if you are interested in tips, but everybody's startup grant is going to be different for their town or city, because there's a lot of statistics and data you have to research, and the stats for Dumas is not going to be the same for Heber Springs or Little Rock or wherever you're from. The next thing, I got a part of the startup grant was to get partnerships with colleges started so that your students can begin the process of getting concurrent credit for that class. And you do need a master's in something for them to get concurrent credit for your Foundations of Education class. Last year I got one with University of Arkansas at Monticello, and it's free to the students and it's a transferable credit to other schools. And they think they have, I sent them our frameworks and they said it's similar to their Foundations of Education course. So they're just getting 3 hours of credit for free. They do have to have a 19 or above on the ACT. Not all of my students got it. I think I had 15 in the class and 12 of them qualified for it. But I do let those who have a 19 or better on their ACT have first choice of being in the class. And then after that, I let the others who don't, but they still want to be a teacher, into the class, because I can only have so many spots, because there's only so many elementary teachers that are able to take on these students as interns. The textbook, so UAM said I needed to use this textbook. It's the Foundations of Education by Cengage, and it's the 13th edition. Let me see if I can see there's a bunch of authors there. And I went through it and I sticky noted it to which chapter aligned with which standard, which I still call them units. So that one was Unit 1. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. Unit 1. And that's a good resource for whenever I'm out of the classroom or there's a sub. They can always look at this, or we use this for that. The next thing I use is my curriculum book. I use this, Experiencing Education, and it has sticky notes too, so I know which projects go with which standards. I got this from the Teacher Cadet Conference. Now, I'm not teaching the Teacher Cadet class, but I am teaching Foundations of Education. So you can teach the Teacher Cadet curriculum in the Foundations of Education class, if that makes sense. Now, you can just teach Teacher Cadet like some do, but I wanted to have a pathway so my students could have completers and concurrent credit. So if you want to get this, you need to contact the State Department to see if you can go to their training It was free. They paid for everything, the food, hotel. It was a 3-day training in Little Rock, reimbursement for mileage. So that's a free PD you could go to next year, and your school didn't even have to pay for it or use Perkins because the state covered it. So if you want their contact information, Jeff Dyer used to be in charge of it, but now it's Charlie Krausen at arkansas.gov. And I'll try to put that in my resource so you can just see how to spell her name correctly if you want to email her about going to that training. So also, if you don't have this, but you still need some of these materials, there's a website a teacher created, and I'm going to share my screen with you. And she made an awesome website. So this is her website, and I'll try to copy and paste that link because it's a lot of random stuff into it. And there's her syllabus and everything, her articulation agreements with her universities for her concurrent credit. Let me scroll down. She has broke down the book too by chapters and units. She has put in videos, journal entry templates, more videos about the history of education, projects on children's books, projects about bulletin boards, child development things. She has all the theorists. She has notes about them, videos. I know I'm going very fast. Left brain, right brain. That's one of my favorite things to cover in this class. Funny videos about being a teacher. I just love how it's all organized by chapter according to this curriculum guide I have. So I don't have to, so if you don't like all my sticky note mess, you can just go through here. Okay. The next thing is, so if your students are in this class, they can also be in an organization called Educators Rising. I registered all my students for free for it that were in this class because it makes them eligible to go to the Educators Rising conference that we went to back in February. And it gives them a lot of information about college and about the teaching profession, and there's competitions. We haven't done the competition aspect of it yet, but it was a good day for us to get out and do something. And they can still do FCCLA too. FCCLA has certain events that only these students are eligible for to compete in for star events, teaching a lesson to different students. So that's something you can have one of them get into if they're interested in. The next thing I want to talk about is I call them units, but they're standards. I'm just going to go over some of my different favorite activities. So for the first standard 1, I like to do a bulletin board as a back to school project. I put my students in pairs and they go around to the new teachers' classrooms and ask them if they need help making a bulletin board, or some of those teachers who just aren't artsy or creative, they help them out. So everybody gets a teacher and they make them a bulletin board. That takes about a week or so. The next thing that some different videos I show them, Gary Brooks back to school videos are always funny to show them. We also cover filling out a teacher job application in that standard. I have a guest speaker from UAM, the college I've partnered with, and they come and talk about their education program and how the concurrent credit's going to work and what grades they need to be getting to get the credit and how it transfers. I show Rita Pearson videos, and this one I show Every Child Needs a Champion. And all these videos are just very short, 2-3 minute videos on YouTube that are just a good way to open up each class. I do it's all in a bag activity, and I get brown paper sacks and I put lots of random things in it, like a tissue, safety pin, pieces of candy, peppermint, Hershey Hug, and students will have to write down how is a safety pin like an effective teacher? How is a Hershey Hug or a peppermint like an effective teacher? And I save those bags and reuse them over a year. I do have to replace the candy though, because it gets eaten. The second standard, we read 3 letters from Teddy, which is always a tearjerker. We talk about our learning styles and do assessments over what kind of learning style we have. I do Arkansas Ideas Child Maltreatment because UAM requires me to give that to those students before they start their student practicum. And I have to have them sign something, and I print them out a little certificate, and they get to have that. Now, they aren't doing it on their own on a computer because they don't have an account because they're not licensed. I log into mine on my teacher computer, and I say I'm a facilitator. So I facilitate the training in front of them so that we watch the videos as a whole group. We answer the questions at the end out loud as a whole group. That took us about 2 days. And afterwards, I printed out certificates and signed their names and took a picture. So that was good for them. They go observe a high school classroom for a day. They go observe a middle school classroom for a day. And then they'll go observe an elementary classroom too. And then they will try to figure out after those experiences, which grade level do I think I want to be in the rest of the year to get all my hours. Now, I don't have anybody do high school with their peers for the whole year, but some of the middle schools, like 6th grade, are good because some of them want to teach 6th grade, and then the elementary schools they'll choose between. We also have a guest speaker from PATH, Partners Against Trafficking of Humans. And if you're interested in having her come speak to your students and the signs you can recognize in children that are being trafficked, she is actually doing a presentation in this conference. So she will, her links and contact information will be on this virtual conference. We do college door decorations for College Week for teachers. Every students pair up and they do a door for a teacher that they choose, and that gets them talking to them about what college did you go to, you majored in education, what was it like there for you, so that also gets them thinking about what schools even offer education programs, what schools even offer this type of education degree. We know that family and consumer science education degrees aren't offered at every teaching college, just at like 4 in the whole state. Something else we do is we read children's books and do evaluations on them. And I have a few I'm going to show you. So we do, and these are all in the teacher cadet curriculum too, the lessons. And so we do children's self-esteem, and I have a book on for every student in my class that they're all different on self-esteem for children at different ages. And this is just one of them. I grabbed Stella Luna because I read that when I was in elementary school. And the evaluations are in everything will be in this or on her website that I just showed you. Another day we do with children's books is Multiculturalism Day. And here's another book I have, and I have all different cultures and backgrounds, a book for everyone, and every student gets a different one that is not their heritage. And also we have days where we just get children's books about other things. So this is not Brown Bear, but Brown Bear in Spanish. And how do you pay for all these books? DonorsChoose bought a lot of my children's books. There was a grant, Arkansas Teachers Association, Arkansas Retired Teachers Association. They have grants. I could send you the info if you email me about how they bought a lot of the books too. And okay, so the next thing let's go over standard 3 now. Rita Pearson video clip, school starts at 8 a.m. is great. We do a play day. That's another one of those teacher cadet activities where I have Play-Doh station, board game station, hula hoop station, and we rotate and do all these different things for a play day and talk about and discuss what kind of learning did you do. Was this physical? Was this intellectual? How challenging was it? Students they create an assessment. That's one of the projects we do. They make their first assessment or exam. This falls around STAR event competition time. So I will have my STAR event students who are competing come to my class and present to them, and my students will judge them and give them reviews. We start reading The Acorn People in this standard, and The Acorn People is about a camp counselor who goes to work at a camp for special needs children. And then we take an AR test after we finish reading it. We don't read it all in one day. We kind of break it up into chapters and do a round robin reading about twice a week or so. We also do Rita Pearson, My Mama Said, is a good video clip to show. I have a guest speaker from the co-op come and talk about, if you don't go into teaching, what do you do at the co-op? What do they do? What kind of resources do the co-op provide teachers if I'm a first-year teacher and I'm scared to death? I assign them a permanent place. It's time to make a decision at this point in the second 9 weeks where you're going to be housed and who is going to be your cooperating teacher the rest of the year. We watch Fat City and kind of do an interactive thing. That's also part of Teacher Cadet, but Fat City's on YouTube. It's a PD session that someone had for a bunch of teachers to show them what is it like for children with dyslexia in the classroom, and they have simulations that they go through. What is it like for different types of learners and people with special needs, someone with autism, someone with ADHD, and put them in their shoes and show them what it's like for them to read or learn, what kind of distractions and challenges and barriers do they face. And we do that simulation as a class. Let's see, then we go to, I skip from standard 3 to standard 5 when we get back from Christmas break. Because in standard 5, we go over classroom management policies and procedures and discipline plans. They write their own as if they're the teacher, what they would expect in their classroom. We read the Starfish short story one day. They create a lesson and teach it to the class. You can do this multiple times throughout the year too, which they are required to do it in my class, and then also required to do it at least 3 times with their cooperating teacher. And then I even have them record one of those, and we watch it in class together and we critique each other. We cover Bloom's taxonomy, and I teach this by building s'mores. And this is a great way for your formal evaluation if you really want to look good. I used that when the college came to do my formal evaluation with UAM. I'll have all my resources in my Google folder, and I'll put it in the link section of our virtual conference out beside this session. Students create a rubric as one of the projects we do. They make big books, which is them making their own children's short story, and I get big posters and we cut them down, and they write it or they type it and print it out, and then we bind it together, and then they read it out loud in front of everyone. And then they can also take their book to their elementary classroom and read it aloud to them. We write a philosophy of education, and that takes a few days. I show them my philosophy of education as an example, or previous students. We go over lesson plan templates, how to fill out a lesson plan template. We design our own dream classroom, and we use Pinterest board for that, and we pin all the different things we would want in our dream classroom and how it would be set up and present that to each other. We start studying for the Parapro exam, and I got this book, and I got this from Barnes & Noble. It says it's the Parapro Assessment Prep for last year, and so I went through, and I only have one of these. I went and ran copies of these, and they did these practice tests in class, and they said they were very, very, very hard whenever we graded them, and they were getting 50%. But when we went and took the actual Parapro at the co-op, I had 100% pass rate for the class. So I had 14 students take the exam, all 14 passed. They said it was much, much easier than that book, but I'm glad I got the book so that I know what to do for next year. And the way I did with the Parapro assessment and certification, Perkins paid for everything, and I contacted my co-op. They bought all the exam codes and vouchers. We scheduled a day. I got the short bus. We all met over. I drove them to our co-op, which is here about 15 minutes from our school, really. The exam has a 2-hour time limit. Some finished in an hour, and we just sat there and waited for everyone to get done. After that, we went and had lunch, and then we went back to school. So it was a good day. And then right then if they pass or not. And then they will get in the mail in a few weeks, they'll get their actual Parapro certification license. Let's see. Now I'm going to talk about Standard 4, which is the last one I cover. So in this one, video clips to show Donna Porter and DJ are great. It's a teacher who had a rough student from that was actually a gang member, and now he and her traveled the world as guest speakers and keynote speakers at different events. They came to ACT one year, and I just loved them. We cover Arkansas Code of Ethics, and I have like presentations and things over that I took off the state's website, and there are videos too. They just updated them, so there's a great video to show in class. We do class greetings. That's where they would pretend it's the first day of school. How are they going to greet their class and start out the year? Now, we did this while we were at home, and so they actually were in their bedrooms doing this and recording themselves and pretending the stuffed animals were their children in their class, and it was really funny. We do thank you emails to the cooperating teachers as we're wrapping up the year, and we even make them a little gift. It's whatever we can come up with or afford at the time. And then we do something for a Teacher Appreciation Week, making them lunch, doing them favors, writing handwritten thank you notes, putting them in their mailbox, making candy bags or treat bags. Pinterest has all kinds of ideas, so that's something really good to do with them. I have my students do a portfolio with and I have a rubric for that, all their experiences for the year. I give it to them right before they actually go to start with their cooperating teacher, and it has a sign-in sheet with all their days that they went and attended, and they put their philosophy of education, they put their 3 lessons they taught in the classroom with their lesson plans, pictures they took, copies of student work as proof, and then they give that, and that's their final grade at the end, and it's about 1,000 points. I'm trying to think if there's something else to cover. If you don't do this in Lifespan, A Child Called It, do it, have them read it in Orientation to Teaching. Another good book, I haven't used this yet, but it's called The Hurried Child as well, and I think Tier Kennard does this with her teacher cadets. I cannot think of anything else, but if I do, I will probably go back and add it into this video. So I hope I gave you some ideas for some things. If you need help, let me know. I respond to email very fast on my personal email because it comes straight to my phone, so it's just like a text for me. And I'm going to put the link to my Google folder for my class in the resources if you want to look at anything. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.